Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Forgotten Gear Restorations. Let's get a power cord upgrade and general service done on this old 50s National Sportsman amp. Alright, Goons and Mutants, no sweeping camera shots, no fancy panning, no like super low Spielberg angles here. Although I am working on your Sportsman. This is another late 50s national amp. This one's a little different. It's a little fancier. Why? Well, if you look at the preamp chassis up there, what is that in the center of the shot? That is a 9-pin tube sitting right next to these little octal preamp tubes. That's fancy stuff for back in the day. They were starting to integrate the 9-pin tubes over in the 50s, probably I would say probably about the middle of the decade, give or take. So this was an expensive amp. This is very nice. So a little different construction than the other one. This one here, the power amp chassis here, is nice. And I'm still zoomed in, aren't I? You can see that metal grill right here, protecting the speakers, the oval speakers, and they're still attached. They look like 6x9s to me. I could be mistaken. But a guy was in here in the late 90s. Slinging those Sprague Atoms. Look at this implementation of the power cord. It's just going up to here to this terminal strip, and then there's an umbilical cord that carries the neutral and hot all the way up to the preamp chassis at the top. Why? Because it contains the power switch and the fuse holder. Now I'm going to have to ohm out to see which one of these terminals is going to make their way over to that fuse terminal, so I can make sure we're wired in code, or whatever the current day spec is, which is, who knows, is that going to change again? I doubt it, but that's what it is. And another thing we want to do, since we're looking at a dual chassis design here, is we don't want to make any assumptions that could lead to an accident. So, okay, stand by for one moment, please. Now, where was I? We don't want to make any assumptions that could lead to someone getting hurt. And we're looking at the same chassis material as the other one. We're looking at the same finish as the other one. It has this nice and glossy brown top coat. This is long before people started applying anodized finishes. So this is just sprayed on. Is it long before? Maybe it was. I think it was. I'm making a dangerous assumption. But what I want to do is flesh out whether or not, and what you hear there is I have my meter in continuity mode. I want to find out, and I want to verify that these are linked with respect to ground. Okay, so if I'm gonna, where am I gonna apply the grounded lead for the power cord? It's going to answer many questions. Am I going to have to run a separate lead up to the upper chassis and link that one as well? Let's just find out. So I'll just grab any old ground here and then one at the top. And I believe we are grounded. Yes, we are. So that's a beautiful thing. So I'll just, again, discern which one of these terminals will be serving for the hot and neutral. And then I'll run another chassis ground there with the FX-951. And I should really just try to, I don't have time for this kind of a video, but I mean, the thing heats up. I'm going to brag about this thing every single chance I get. The thing heats up. It's ready to lay down the thunder within like 8 seconds. And the contact time on a chassis for a nice joint is like 6 or less. Like, it took like 4 seconds for me to put a nice blob of solder right there on the chassis. You gotta love that. Come on. So let's get this going. Although I'll have an update for you shortly. There is one, I think on a mic channel, you might have a noisy preamp tube or something, but it's not obscene. So, all right, I'll give you an update soon. This is a nasty shot because it's, when you're dealing with point-to-point amps, it's 3D spaghetti. This red cap here is what they call a death cap. This orange lead goes all the way up this umbilical cord, exits out of there, and it's on the bottom of the power switch. So we already know what our marching orders are. I'm going to remove this, and it's a 400 volt cap, and it's not going to do the job. This thing needs to get out of here, and on top of that, it's a Sangamo. So that's asking for trouble. One other thing, so given the proximity of the rear panel of the amp with the exit of this power cord, the newer cord will have considerably more girth to it. It's supple, but you don't want to make a cord like that live with a 90-degree bend if you don't have to. So what I'm going to do is I'm not going to reuse this. I'm not going to pass it through the hole in this chassis. Rather, I'm going to use a cable clamp, which I'm going to fix here on this little stud with this little bit of hardware, and we're gonna do it like that. And I'm just gonna pass the leads up to the appropriate spot, and that's where they're gonna go. All right, we're doing the trick again with. I have that double-walled heat shrink. It's 3-to-1 or 1-to-3. It has adhesive on the inner wall. So these are just 2 layered, one on top of the other, to give us the sufficient grip that I need for this this little cable clamp to do its job. I keep saying FX-602, but it's the 601. Blinking light means it's ready. And it got ready in a hurry. I like it. Look at that. It's beautiful. All right. I'm going to add a little bit more. Just because I like a certain look. I know it's not necessary, but I like it to look a certain way. And that's it. Amazing. There we go. Although there she is, cleaned up a little bit, not perfect, but cleaned up. And you know what the cool part is that I was able to reuse that little original cord clamp there. Can't do much to get in, but there you go. So happy it fit. It's just right.